Football has given us some absolute legends, players who changed the game and earned their spots in history. But let's be honest, not every big name deserves all the hype. Today, we're diving into the 5 most overrated footballers of all time. I know, it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but sometimes you gotta say it like it is. So here's the question. Have we been giving certain players too much credit for too long? Before we kick off, make sure to subscribe to Goat Blender for the best in football stories, epic highlights, and the debates every fan loves. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and let's hear what you think. First, let's talk about Paul Pogba, a guy with insane talent, but who rarely lives up to it. When he first burst onto the scene, people thought he was going to change the game, but then came all the ups and downs. Take his time at Manchester United. Fans started calling him lazy, saying he did not put in enough for the team. No one doubted his ability, but how often did he actually show it? And let's not forget how Sir Alex Ferguson himself pointed fingers when Pogba left United in 2012. Ferguson accused him of disrespecting the club, and it was not just him. Even Jose Mourinho had issues with Pogba's attitude. Both big names in football thought his attitude was holding him back. That should have been a warning sign, right? When it comes to Pogba, 3 words seem to follow him around: inconsistent, lazy, and talented. He's got the skills to be one of the best, but without that work ethic and focus, what is all that talent really worth? Even Graham Souness, a guy who knows a thing or two about tough midfielders, has called him out multiple times. Just last year, he said, "He's an extremely talented young man. He should be one of the best midfielders in the world, but he's lazy." And if things were not already rocky enough, now he's facing a potential 4-year ban due to testing positive for testosterone. If he's out for that long, he might be done with football by the time he's 30. For a player with so much promise, this feels like a fitting yet unfortunate end to his career, one that is as frustrating as it is unfulfilled. But this footballer is as famous for his celebrity status as he is for his skills on the pitch: David Beckham. But does the fame overshadow his actual ability? Now, before the fan clubs come charging in, let's get one thing straight. This isn't about trashing his skills on the pitch. It's more about asking a question. Would Beckham have had the same legendary status if it weren't for all the celebrity hype? First off, Beckham's right foot? Absolutely magic. Honestly, it might just be the best in football history. You gotta respect that. He could spot a runner from a mile away and deliver the perfect pass like it was nothing. And those crosses, they were practically art. Just think about the goals he set up for legends like Dwight York and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Plus, his free kicks were like fireworks on a football field. Boom. But here's the kicker. Just because he had an incredible right foot doesn't mean he was better than guys like Zidane or Figo. At Manchester United, he was solid, sure, but spectacular? Not quite. He wasn't the guy to take on defenders and turn the game on its head. It makes you wonder how much of the Beckham hype comes from his actual skills versus the celebrity spotlight. Now, let's talk about that celebrity status. So many players have been just as good, if not better, yet they've spent their whole careers at mid-table clubs. Why? Because they didn't have the glam factor. Beckham, on the other hand, he had endorsements, a marriage to posh spice, and a media profile that was off the charts. This golden boy status got him on the England team sheet every time, and boom, captaincy. But was he really the best choice? Probably not, but hey, it's Beckham, right? When the media hypes you up as one of the best, guess who comes knocking? Real Madrid. Beckham ended up there, and while he did help the team, he only won 1 league title. 1! That makes you wonder, would he have made that move without the fame? Honestly, it's tough to say. And then there was the massive transfer to LA Galaxy. That contract? Wild. But let's be real, it wasn't just about his skills on the field. It was all about the cash flow from merchandise. That's the reality of celebrity power in football. So what if Beckham didn't have all that fame? Would he have followed in the footsteps of legends like Paul Scholes and stayed at United for life? Who knows? It's a fun thought, but one thing's for sure. Celebrity played a massive role in shaping his path. Beckham was a fantastic player, no doubt about it, but calling him world-class? That's a stretch. Overrated? You bet. The media has painted him in a way that doesn't quite match the reality. What do you think? Does he deserve all the hype, or is it time to take a step back? But this player surely splits opinions like no other. Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes. Bruno might just be one of the most polarizing figures in football today. United fans swear by him, but outside Old Trafford, it's a different story. Sure, his goal stats look impressive at first, but when you consider how many of those are penalties, 30 for United and 50 over his entire career, it changes the picture a bit. There's no question that on his best days, Fernandes can be unstoppable. Yet some fans and critics argue he's praised far too highly, especially considering his weaknesses. One of the biggest knocks against him? His lack of defensive work and his tendency to lose focus when it comes to tracking back. Then there's the attitude he shows on the pitch, something that does not go unnoticed. It has reached a point where even Roy Keane, a Manchester United legend himself, has publicly said he would strip Fernandes of the captain's armband. Keane's words were clear: Fernandes is not captain material. His whinging, his moaning, and throwing his arms up in the air constantly, it really isn't acceptable. If Bruno Fernandes was truly world-class, should he not be leading United to greater heights by now? The club has yet to see a Premier League or Champions League trophy since Sir Alex Ferguson's era, and Fernandes has not exactly lifted them back to the top since joining from Sporting. Maybe he is a star, but is he the player that Manchester United needs to reach those legendary heights again? But this player got a huge reputation, and maybe an even bigger reputation than his performances warrant. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Look, no one's denying that Zlatan is one of the most exciting players of our generation. The guy's an absolute beast with the ball, and his highlight reel is packed with jaw-dropping goals. But here's the thing. Does he actually deserve all the credit he gets? Many fans act like Zlatan is the ultimate game changer, but when has he really taken over a game or led a team to greatness on his own? Take his early days at Ajax. Sure, he showed promise, but it was the Dutch league, where competition isn't exactly as intense. At Juventus, he had one solid season, but his second season was forgettable. And let us not overlook that his titles there were stripped. Even at Juve, he was a part of a team full of stars who often outshone him. Then we moved to Inter Milan, where Zlatan started breaking out as a world-class talent. He dominated Serie A for 3 seasons, but there is a catch. This was right after the Serie A scandal, which left clubs like Juventus and AC Milan weaker. Inter's biggest challenger became Roma, and when it came to big European games like the Champions League, he struggled. Just look at his performances against Manchester United in 2008. His time at Barcelona? Not exactly memorable, though he did have his moments. He found his stride again back in Milan with AC, and he deserves credit for helping them to a league title. But when he went to Paris, he was the face of Ligue 1. Though, let's face it, Ligue 1 isn't exactly the most competitive league either. And when it came to the Champions League clashes, Zlatan's performances were often underwhelming. And what about his international career? Zlatan has never really lifted Sweden to any significant tournament success. They even missed out on qualifying for a World Cup with him on the squad. While other players, like Luka Modric, have been able to carry their national teams to amazing feats, Zlatan's impact on the international stage has been far less impressive. He's not managed to take over a meaningful international game in the way other greats have. So yes, Zlatan is an incredible talent, but his reputation might just overshadow what he's actually achieved in the biggest moments. And finally, let's tackle the most surprising name on this list, Neymar. Seeing Neymar as number 1 on an overrated list might shock some people, but hear me out. When Neymar first burst onto the scene at Santos, he was seen as the next big superstar, a player who could one day challenge even the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. Some in Brazilian football thought he might even eclipse Pelé. Those are massive expectations, and while players like Messi managed to thrive under similar pressure, Neymar's career tells a different story. His attitude has often been questioned, and for a player of his reputation, his trophy cabinet is surprisingly light. With all his talent, Neymar has only 1 Champions League title to his name, and only 1 major trophy with Brazil, the 2013 Confederations Cup. For someone once seen as a potential successor to Pelé, that's a far cry from greatness. Yes, Neymar dazzled the world with consistent performances for about 5 seasons between Barcelona and PSG. But after that, a noticeable drop-off. The true greats stay at the top, delivering year after year. Neymar's talent is undeniable, but he has never reached the consistent level of the very best, despite being labeled as elite from such a young age. In many ways, the early hype from his time at Santos has followed him his whole career, overshadowing the reality of what he has actually achieved. But what do you think? Do you agree with our list? Who do you believe deserves the title of the most overrated footballer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But some guys have been criminally overlooked while the spotlight shines on others. So who are the 5 most underrated players in football? Subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on that.